Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox. I would like to welcome you to the Sunday Book Review. The Sunday Book Review is the series where I discuss books which impact the compliance practitioner, the legal professional, and the business professional. I hope you will enjoy this episode. The Sunday Book Review is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network. The Sunday Book Review for November 5, 2023, the Just Because edition. Today, I thought I would take a look at some books outside the compliance arena that might be fun for you to read, and I'll begin with a very interesting one, The Woman in Me by Britney Spears. In June 2021, the entire world was listening as Britney Spears spoke in open court. The impact of sharing her voice, her truth was undeniable, and it changed the course of her life and those for others. The Woman in Me reveals for the first time her incredible journey and the strength at the core of one of the century's top pop performers. Written with candor and humor, it illustrates the enduring power of music and the importance of telling your story. Another biography goes in a different direction, and that's Tupac Shakur, the Authorized Biography by Staci Robinson. Obviously one of the greatest or at least most controversial artists in the late 21st century, or late 20th century rather. More than 25 years after his death, he continues to be misunderstood, complicated, and yet an influential picture. It's the story of a mother and a son bound together in their love for each other and the relationship that endured during the darkest times. Of course, it's the story of his life, his music, and his message that still resonates with many today. Next up, we go in two very different directions into fiction. The first one is Let Us Descend, a book from Oprah's book club, and it's a reimagining of American slavery by Jesmyn Ward. It's the story of Annie, sold south by a white slaver who fathered her, and it's a reader's guide through the hellish landscape of slavery. As she struggles, she turns inward, seeking the memories of her mother and her family, going as she heads down to the deep south. One of the most singularly brilliant and beloved writers of her generation, this miracle of a novel describes a black woman's grief and joy into the very land at the unforgiving South. And our final book is Miss MacIntosh by Marguerite Young. This novel is one of the most ambitious and remarkable literary achievements. It's a picturesque psychological novel, a novel of the road, a voyage, a journey of the human spirit in the search for reality in a world of illusion and nightmare. How does that sound as a compliance officer? It's the story of Miss MacIntosh, who hails from Iowa and seems to travel and it works on many levels of consciousness. In every respect or aspect, Miss MacIntosh is the lyrical beauty of prose, the imaginative vitality, and the cumulative emotional power. A true work of genius that I think you will enjoy. I hope you've enjoyed these different types of books we've talked about on today's Sunday Book Review. We'll get back to some nonfiction and business books next week, but I hope you have a great weekend. Into the Compliance Podcast Network, it's Two Gurus Talk Compliance, where, with my friend and colleague Christy Grant Hart, we take a look at some of the top compliance commentary around. It's a long-form, up to 1 hour podcast, but if you're interested in compliance, if you're interested in Christy Grant Hart and myself talking about compliance, this would be a great podcast for you to check in on. It premiered on March 10th on the Compliance Podcast Network. I know you'll enjoy this latest offering. Additionally, we have Data-Driven Compliance, which is a podcast where I look at the use of data in compliance programs. This is perhaps the most cutting-edge podcast I have going right now. And if you're interested in how data can be used, how to structure a data analytics program, what tools are available out there for you, and how compliance practitioners are using data, this is certainly the podcast for you. So check out Data-Driven Compliance, all on the Compliance Podcast Network. The Sunday Book Review is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.